Sure. Hello everyone, good evening, welcome to this live session. My name is Martin Nelson, host and founder of Childish. And this evening I'll be having with me my mentor, very, very big senior friend, and this is Adebamiro. She's going to be joining us for this live session this evening. And she's setting up right now. And we should write her very soon. Nearest about 2 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and she's going to join us. So you're welcome. And today we'll be talking about something very important. We're talking about child privacy and mental health. Very important topics we'll be talking about today. And I I implore that you stay, listen to what we're saying, and I'm very, very sure you'll be blessed and you love every bit of this session. I am ready to teach every bit of value that I've learned by a period of time through books, through experiences, all of those things like that. They're very, very important, and that's why I'm here to tell you about it. So, before we introduce us, we'll say something, talking about something very important, and that is still on the same topic, child privacy. So, as African parents, we think that child privacy is a very, very big thing, something that children don't actually need as African parents. But you see, it's not just about that. It's very important that children need their privacy. As they tend to grow old, as they tend to explore life, they will need their privacy to grow because, as he said, everybody came to this life alone, and because you came to this life alone, you need some alone time. That's what it's been called. Some alone time to build yourself. And you see, child privacy is not just that the child is there and all of those things. The child is to come of age to enjoy child privacy because as it's called the child needs direction, needs guidance, needs all the care and all the protection that is needed for that child to make impact. So for this to happen, this child is um, from that little age, from that tender age to when this child gains his privacy, this child needs to be under the monitoring of the parents, right? And that's very, very important. That's why it's very, very important that we need to understand that this is the age from so age to so age is when this child um, needs to stay with the parent and close monitoring. But as the child grows old, this child needs child privacy, and it is very, very important for the child. So this evening is going to be very, very awesome. It's going to be very, very important. So thank you very much, and I'll be inviting our host now. I want you to prepare yourself as you're going to speak with us in language that all of us are going to understand. So thank you very much. So guys, I think Mr. Adebamiro is about joining us a few minutes from now. She's going to be joining right now. So I'll be reading some certain things that I heard and I also saw from the internet that it's very, very important. And this kind of question we ask. So we have that there's this what's it called now? Hope we are cool. So it says if you're not invading your child's privacy, you are considered negligent. All right. I want to laugh at that now because it's very, very. How would I say it? I think it's absurd. Yeah, it's absurd. Yeah, I would say it's absurd. See, if you're not invading your child's privacy, you are considered negligent. That's the first one. Second one is taking away your child's privacy is emotional abuse, right? And then the third one is tracking your kid with an app is a sign of toxicity or normal parenting business, right? And then the fourth one is at what age should you start respecting your child's privacy? So, at what age do you start respecting your child's privacy? So, these are the core questions we'll be asking, and Mrs. Olufumi is going to join us. We're going to be talking about these topics. So, we have that monitoring simply means staying in touch with your child so you can guide and support them. So the first one is monitoring. So what is monitoring? Monitoring simply means staying with your child, staying in touch with your child, right? Notice the word I'm using. I chose my words very well. It means staying in touch with your child, right? So as to give your child monitoring, close close monitoring. So now, the reason why you're giving them close monitoring is number one, so as you're going to guide them, and number two, so that you're going to support them. It's very important. So, one example that I wrote here is that teenagers usually take or make quick decisions, yeah, and don't always think through consequences of their behavior. So, because of this, teenagers are very volatile when taking decisions, when making decisions. Teenagers are very volatile. So because of this, they need parents who are going to, help and guide and support them through every decisions that they have made. All right. So that's it.
gradually into preteen. And I think this thing that has to do with um, monitoring child or respect or the boundaries of a child. Quite a number of times during the formative years of that child, you might have to do that from time to time. Yes, check their school bags, check their school pockets. It is stages. This issue of boundaries is actually in stages and it takes different forms as they age. So monitoring, you check their school bags, you check their assignments, you check for one or two things that you feel might be out of order. And then by the time they are getting to their teenagers, as teenagers, they love privacy a lot. They just want to be by themselves. They want to see. Now, the crop of teenagers we have today are not the same crop of teenagers that we had like even 10 years back. Although, yes, there are some natural attributes from generation to generation that follow being a teenager. It has not changed really. But then times have changed and the responses of the teenagers now to that internal change that is going on within their body and their psyche, their response have changed a lot over the years because now we have technology at their disposal. So if you as a parent don't really get involved with them, they will always look for it easily outside. Even in our days as teenagers, people were still looking for solutions outside. That is even those days without internet. Not to now talk of these days when the options are just staring right at us in the face. So as a child progresses, the monitoring pattern has to change. Yes, maybe from checking their pockets, from checking. Now, when they are getting to their teenage years, somebody feels that if you don't monitor your child, it's a total sign of negligence. I quite agree to an extent, but some parents make the mistake of choking a child too much. When I was young, I remember that one of our friends then we were just walking back home and we were just going to look for the bus and we were tracking, that because we were not in the same house class. So certain discussions that we couldn't do during school hours, we usually did on our way back home when we get talking as girls. And she was just complaining and ranting to us how her dad was seriously invading her privacy. Now, this is someone I know in school too well. I mean, she was a good girl. She didn't have any issues at all. But then, because of the kind of mentality his father had, moreover that his children were approaching the teenagers, she was the first one. And parents are usually harder on first children.
Yeah.
And she was complaining about how her dad, would check her bag, check her clothes, check everything, check. And, she was not finding that funny because she was feeling as though her privacy was becoming too invasive. And now, at this stage of life, most especially with these modern children that we have, um, you have to balance things because now they have reached an age where they are transiting into full adulthood. A lot is going on in their body and a lot is going on in their mind. This is an age where they prefer to relate more with their friends on certain issues than parents because they feel parents will not understand, except for fewer percentage of them. And I often tell parents the greatest kind of bond you can have with your child is the first 10 years of life. The truth is, if you miss it from there, it will be difficult to get them together again. I got to know this from experience when my children started entering boarding school. The only reason why they will want to come back home happily when the school is on holiday or look for any means to come. In fact, sometimes my children they feign illness. Sometimes not as though they are not ill, but um, my second son once told me the first time because he transited from a day school to a boarding school. I mean, he was becoming too playful, and we needed to get him off those distractions. So we had to put him in a boarding school, and he told us that the first term, especially the first two terms of his SS1, sometimes he knew very well that that sickness was home sickness, and he would look for every way to go home. and probably did not just understood child psychology. And you tell him that, look, the kind of problem your elder brother gave us, we will not let you give it to us. We are going nowhere, and we are not going to call your mom. So you're going to stay in school and you will stick through this. And the few times when I have to come to school to teach him, you will see him just shining his teeth and happily carrying his blazer to follow me. Now, if there was no enabling environment for, for, for my children, they wouldn't have been that happy to come home and to take a break from school. So I just knew because back then, yeah, I was a disciplinarian. I will not lie about that. There were times when I know, yes, it's not a common thing, but I had to like put them through discipline, especially when they were doing extreme excesses. Sometimes I used struggling to checkmate them when they were younger. I think as they grew older, I just deployed other means of discipline. So but that wasn't all the time. They will know that yes, for mommy to have raised their hand and flogged me, hi, they know that yes, they have I've warned them several times, and they just in their childish behavior just felt they could just get by with anything. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that when a child is too choked, the child begins to feel too uncomfortable. So when they are progressing into that age of their lives where certain decisions that they take in life may be costly and may take them back 10 years, by 10 years, you have to be a little bit careful. Um, Not that, yes, sometimes you just apply a lot of wisdom in going about it. You don't just come, oh, you begin to check at random, Sometimes you might have to do that so neatly and carefully, you know, once in a while. But it's not every time, you just every day they come back. Then when I was growing up, there were mothers and fathers who were like that. Before they go to school, they had to submit their bags to their parents to check, to check their bags. And then those children, as far back as my days, started looking for other means of hiding a lot of things. Sorry, sorry. So they had to start looking for other means of hiding their stuff from their parents, and they became very secretive. There were a lot of things I knew about some children back then that were my age mates that their parents didn't know a thing about, just because they were no longer comfortable opening up to their parents. So when it comes to all this issue of monitoring, when it comes to the issue of boundaries, yes, you have to let them know you respect their boundary, because the older they grow, the more delicate it gets, because they are gradually getting to an age of independence. You have to let them understand certain things. In fact, I think from certain levels of life, you really need to become more friendly with them at times. And yes, get involved. There are several ways of getting involved in a child's life. It's not just checking this and checking that, and no, there are several ways of subtly doing it. Sometimes you enter into negotiation with a child. Sometimes except in maybe cases where you are beginning to feel that there are some kind of peer influences that are negative. Sometimes you might need to really play some measure of attention to, because a child is still a child. A child for life, as long as you are alive as a parent, you are still a parent. Even if the child is 40 years, 50 years, so far you are still alive. You are still a parent until you take your final breath. That's just the truth about parenting. You are still a parent to your child. Of course, it will not be at the same level, the way you are going to deal with your 50-year-old child who is already making money, who has a family of his own, is not going to be the same with how you will deal with a child, who is a lot more younger. So, um, the issue of, yes, monitor your child. Don't be negligent. Don't behave as if, I beg, the child is grown enough. No. But all I'm saying is that at each stage of a child's life, there are different ways of achieving that without necessarily making the child feel as if you are you are invading them too much, because the older they grow, the more you have to start letting go little by little. When I say letting go little by little, doesn't mean you shouldn't be involved in this child's life. Of course, at every stage of a child's life, you will still be involved. Till date, my dad will still call, how are you doing? How are the children? If he hears I'm sick, he still calls every day just to know, until I tell him I'm fully okay now, before he know. He's so so he's still, even at this age of my life, I still have a father who parents me, even knowing that yes, I'm married, he has grandchildren and stuff like that. So um it is good, monitor. And I agree, when if you don't monitor a child's life, you might end up regretting it in life. You don't leave a child completely to himself, but all I'm saying is that there are different ways of achieving that, and that is predicated on the age bracket of the child, because as the child grows, you have to keep changing your tactic. The mistake some parents make is to still keep using the parenting style of 1945 in 2023. And what do I mean figuratively? That the way you were parenting a child at age 1 to 3, age 4 to 6, age 7 to whatever, you cannot continue to deploy that same method at when the child is a teenager, when the child is now in his 20s. You can't continue deploying the same method to parent a child. So I think that's just my recap on that for now. That's
Okay,
good.
well,
That's
thank
a
you.
good question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. So, I want to, in addition to what our mentor, Ms. Olufomi, said, I want to be saying like I wrote down like four of it, and I will talk about some practical ways to to help these children in their privacy. First one is knocking before going into their rooms. A lot of parents, African parents, don't want to knock before going into children. Room. Like, I bought the door. I mean, who are you? Why should I be knocking before I enter your room? So some of those things like that are things that children feel invaded, think that their privacies are being invaded. And I mean, try to teach this child that the best way to enter someone's room is to knock before entering the room. I mean, if you keep doing like that as parents, it doesn't pass the right message to them, and it makes them feel that giving them space to talk with their friends. I know I can remember some ago when my friends will come to the house, and then my dad is all around trying to hear what was happening, hear what's going to happen, and all of those things like that. And also, my mom will always want to be around, going back, passing the place like 5 million times so as to hear what you are discussing with your friend. And I don't know if there are tactics also, but that space for the child to feel free talking with our friend is very, very important. The next one is asking before looking in or getting things out of their school bags and out of probably their drawers, their lockers, their personal spaces in their rooms. You need to just ask. Not that they won't let you do it. Of course, the child will not tell you not to do it. Very important. The thing is that the child will tell you do it, but that respect, should I say, and that thing that will help you, to help pass the right message to the child that you're responsible enough to teach the child what he or she needs to learn. And then the last one is checking whether your child wants you to be there when you see the doctor. As simple as this may sound. I remember going to the doctor when I'm sick then, and then she want to see me again, she want to see everything. Doctor is like, okay, I want to have this. No, no, I want to sit down with my child and see what's happening. All right, so your child may actually want to have that privacy. Say, mommy, please, can you excuse me? But because they cannot say it, because they feel that they're insulting you. But in this other part of the world, our parents will not want to allow it to get. We just have about 15 minutes left, and I'll be asking a little question before I go to the next one. The next topic we're talking about is trust. So in this aspect of monitoring and all of those things like that, we need to learn how to trust our children. I know trust is in both ways. We have the parent trusting the child and the child trusting the parent, right? So from what I wrote here, I wrote that trust refers to granting them opportunity to make decisions, behave appropriately, and decide what information they need or want to share with you and the other. So the child trusts you, the child trusts you, and you trust the child by granting the child the opportunity to make decisions. So, what do you have to say about trust? Because most parents feel like they don't trust the child enough to let the child make decisions, let the child make decisions, and all of those things. So what do you have to say about this aspect? Because trust is very, very important in child monitoring and child privacy.
Yeah, talking about trust, okay? Um, like I said, I'm a mother, and the problem with majority of mothers is, we think about the child, how we carry that child for 9 months, how we were breastfeeding this child, practically carrying this child, left, right, and center, and at some point we just fail to forget that these children have grown, and they are now capable of taking certain decisions for themselves. So it gets so bad, as you may be aware, that even when a child is married, you will still see parents try to control the child's marriage. It's that bad. So the issue of trust, um, like I mentioned, as a child grows, you have to learn to start letting that child take certain decisions for his or herself. And that comes by asking some basic questions. Okay, so do you want this? Do you want that? I think as strict as my mom was, there were certain areas where she did so well. And she allowed me take certain decisions for myself, as I aged. Yeah, she tried. I think maybe because she read guidance and counseling, or maybe that was what she functioned at, during her teaching job. And then I discovered that it makes a child confident. It makes a child capable of taking decisions in life as an adult. So, of course, as a parent, you still have to guide, but there are times where you just have to put for that child into blind trust. There's something they call blind trust. Yes, I'm not talking about certain decisions that is glaring that, if you leave this child to his or herself on this matter, the child will just, a lot of things will go wrong. So I know that part. But then when it comes to the issue of trust, children want to be trusted. We have grown up to, we grew up to were children. We wouldn't like it when, and this trust, it comes in different forms. It comes in different ways. Trust isn't just straight jacketed. It's not just about decision making. Trust too at times is about, they said you did this, and some parents will not even bother asking questions, and they just beat up the child. Okay, something happened on our secondary school group platform several years back. Was it several years? No, it was just like 2 years back or 3 years back, something like that. And what happened was that one of our setmates was narrating an incident where he was accused of theft. I was like, I didn't even, because we're not in the same arm of junior class. This happened in probably GS1 or 2 then. And then the teacher, teachers being who they were those days, um, did not, because the three girls, they were friends. I think it was the money of one of them. The teacher didn't even wait, to hear a side of the story. I think simply because he was left in class during the break time. So those girls kind of accused him, pointed finger at him, and he wasn't given chance to explain his own side of the story. And the teacher slapped him straight on. And then that it didn't stop there. When his father came to pick him from school, his teacher reported him. The teacher did that not knowing that his father and mother were already having serious marital issues. And so that report, I think, was part of the build-up that led to the final separation of his parents. Children don't forget. And you could sense pain in his write-up. I mean, he just had to rant it out. I'm talking of we're now well over 40. When he now had to, something just led to that issue anyway. And everybody felt touched, like sorry, sorry. We felt for him, deep sympathy for him. And when his father got home, the next point of attack was his mom, and that led to, their quarrels deepened, and they couldn't just resolve issues again. And the mom had to move out and left him. Oh, well, those girls, I think two out of those girls, they eventually ended up with the same higher institution. They did apologize for their act then, but it was just something he felt he should just let out to us, which he did, and I think that healed him finally. So to him, that lack of trust in him, something like, oh, a report of this nature had never come up against him, and his father couldn't trust him enough to even carry out investigations, and decided to make his mom the direct recipient of the reports that came up against him, was just like a dagger that was thrown at his heart. And that was what he carried up into full adulthood, even as a married man with children. So parents should learn to trust their children. See, we all know our children to a large extent. We know their individual peculiarity. There are things that, some parents used to say it on a lighter note that, oh, if I hear that this person fought with this person, I will not doubt it because I even know what you're capable of doing. Do you understand? Do you understand? But there are ways of handling that part of a child. No child is perfect. Every child have their own individual strengths and weaknesses. So there are some children that they will say, this no, 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 they can't be this one. Do you understand? But then, even if you now know, oh, I know what this child is capable of doing, there are ways you can handle it. Okay, so this issue of trust, sometimes you just have to let it be. One, allow them take decisions, not all decisions. The one that they want to do that they will say, no, I must do, you know, there are times, sorry, as a parent, you just find a way of guiding them. Allow them take their decisions. But then, you being an adult and knowing the possible end of that decision, oh, why don't you, let's do it this way? That is where negotiation comes in. At times, you might have to deploy negotiation. You know, my mom, when I got admission, I just didn't want to stay at home. I didn't want a situation where my mates were going to be in school. So I couldn't get admission to read law. I ended up reading linguistics. But my mom didn't force me. And she was saying, are you sure? Okay. Or should you write? I said, okay, don't worry. Let me just enter 100 level. Then I will write another jam. But what is the possibility of hitting that kind of point I had, even though unfortunately I couldn't get into the law faculty? Do you understand? So it was like an agreement between us. She didn't force me, and I had to make her understand my point of view. And she had to trust my decision. And then, yes, I did enter university. I got the course, and I wrote another jump. But this time, I was like, no, I didn't want that same school. I wanted another school, blah, 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 blah. And I actually did well the second time. But she on her own now, she said, no, I can't do that wahala. This place you went to pick out of town, I cannot start taking vehicle up and down looking for admission. So just read your course, you go and do masters. So um we parents should not be too forceful. Oh, this child is still there. Most of us see that child as this baby. That baby that we were still carrying about, that would be depending on us for everything. So that mindset is what a lot of parents are still moving with when it comes to trusting their child. So they just kind of forget that, oh, this child has grown. No, I have to let this child start doing certain things for himself. When my son wanted to enter the higher institution, my first son, he just kept, oh, I want to read computer engineering. And at the point when because he was in a boarding school, they did all the registration in school. but he was given access to call me. And he said, computer engineering. And I told him, I said, but going by the kind of techie world we are in today, why don't you consider software engineering? Of course, if he wanted the computer engineering, I wasn't going to force him. Absolutely. I was going to leave that to him. But I just had to make him see the future reasons for his decision. He said, okay. And there, he changed his mind and he went for software engineering and made computer engineering his second choice. So allow them take decisions by themselves. But then if you now feel that that decision is not really the best, try to deploy negotiation. That is one. Secondly, on the issue of trust, you know what your children, each of them, or your child, if you have one, is capable of doing based on their temperament and based on their own individual peculiarity. Now, you have to trust them enough to be able to handle those negative side of peculiarity, when issues come up. I'm not saying that you should be defensive of your child, no, but there are ways of dealing with that. And then, of course, there are certain areas where you have to trust the child. And then, thirdly, the hallmark of any leader, because as a parent, you're also a leader to your child. And the hallmark of any leader at all is the succession ability. You should be able to leave the kind of legacy for that child to be able to stand in long after you have gone. You won't be alive forever as a parent. So if you don't trust your children, allow them make mistakes and then you draw them back. When I say mistake, yes, there are some certain mistakes that I know that is what a lot of parents are trying to safeguard against. There are some mistakes that once like this can ruin a child's life forever. Do you understand? But I'm just trying to say that there are certain mistakes at times you just allow them, at least within the emotional capacity of their age. That's what I'm talking about. So just allow them be at times. They will come back. And at any time they come back, your hands are outstretched, just like the prodigal son. The father gave him his own inheritance. Don't worry now. I know this boy will come back. I know his peculiarity. Do you understand? I know his peculiarity now. But then the father just gave him on trust that, okay, maybe let me see what he's going to do with whatever I'm giving to him. And the boy, he squandered everything and he came back. But his father, that is a real parent. So please trust your child enough to take decisions. Trust your child enough to display certain things. And um, don't always judge and condemn them. Don't make the atmosphere too difficult for them.
Yeah.
They will run away from you. They will. Please just trust your child, but trust according to age progression and emotional capacity. Just be there to provide guidance, yes, at every point of their lives.
Wow. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you very much, ma. That last word really hit me. Say trust with age progression and emotional capabilities. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll be reading about four of it again that I said avoid this. I just
Okay.
started avoid this. The first one to avoid is avoid it. Listening to their telephone conversations. Listening to their telephone conversations. Avoid this as a parent. It's very, very important. The second one is looking at things in their room or in their drawers, looking for things in their rooms or in their. The third one is reading their diary or email account. If you must read their diary, you must, open their email account, all of the things like that. Apart from the ones that are on parental, guidance and parental control for this kind of anything that is related to the internet is going to be parental control. Yes, you're going to have it at your own end, and the child is also going to have it at his own end. But you see, helping this child to read these things and you not trying to spy on the child makes the child comfortable and will be able to do some wrong things like that. I know children these days are very, very like for me, if a parent is trying to spy on me, oh man, for me, from when I was young, I was so interested in computer in such a way that whatever it is I leave no trace. I leave no trace. There's no how you're going to catch me. There's no how. So I know this thing in terms of computer, my parents how to see. So I wanted to do some bad things out of it. I will tell you them without my parents having a trace of it. Of course, I even ventured into like they didn't have trace of it. Even when I used their phones and they didn't have trace of it. So helping your child, giving your child that space, doing it is one of these aspects of trust that our mentor has talked about. The last one is excessive calls to check on them. We're not saying that it's bad to call a child, but you see, call a child every now and then, every minute. There's some parents that always call the child almost every 1 hour. I had a friend in school then when the mom was always calling me even 1 hour in school. I mean university. Me. So the the guy always felt embarrassed that every moment the mother calls like, I've eaten, I've done this. The guy was, I mean, this guy didn't have any chance to do anything. The mother was always calling. He was feeling so so disturbed and all. So I'll just ask you some two questions and then we'll be done with this session. The first question is, at what age should you start respecting your child's privacy? At what age should you start respecting your child's privacy?
Well, um, at what age? Well, I think as soon as the child begins to understand his or her left from her right, um, you start respecting the child's boundary. Like I said, of course, during babyhood, you cannot respect any boundary because the child doesn't even know what is going on around him or her. Okay. As a toddler, you cannot respect anything at that age. In fact, that is when you need to pay, more attention to the child. But by the time the child starts getting to start getting a little bit older, I think it's gradual. It's not something that you just stop abruptly. And see, let me leave a little bit of a percentage clause. There were some things that some children were involved in that the parents didn't know, but it was this sudden check, this sudden invasion at times that salvaged the situation. Yes, that's why I said sometimes some discretion has to be applied in how we do this. Yes, I understand. Um, you know, knock on their doors. Okay, so there are times when maybe my daughter might just leave her. She writes a lot like I do, so sometimes she will just leave, when they leave their notebooks carelessly all over. I don't go into their room to start sniffing for notebook or their diary. No. Most of the time, they even leave them scattered. I'm the one that shouts at them, pack your things, you are disorganizing this parlor and everything. But sometimes I just pick, maybe a jotter and let me just, what is this one? Is it a notebook? More out of curiosity. Oh, is it his or her notebook? Is it an old note or whatever? Of course, there's no way I will not see what the child has written there. And well, so far I've not seen anything of concern. But if I do, yes, I will call the child. This is what I saw. What informed this? But of course, I will not go and start shouting. I saw this, and the way some mothers will take it and then read every line by line, precept by precept, and they will start shouting at the child. So, if peradventure you discover something that raises your concern as a parent, there are ways to handle it. It's not by the usual yelling and shouting and embarrassing the child, like our days when our mothers would say, if you get pregnant for a boy, I'm going to disgrace you and strip you naked and parade you. I'll use mortar and pound that pregnancy out and stuff like that. So, so when you see anything, you stumble on anything, peradventure, that gives you concern, just find a mature way of handling the situation. But then, entering a child, the child feels like an hired assassin has just entered this room. You just go to the child's room and you just scatter everywhere. You do it in such a way that the child will know, yes, mommy has been here or daddy has been here. And the child begins to feel like his or her life is being threatened ahead of time. Kukuma just kill me. So, um, mostly when they are getting to, I think I mentioned that earlier, when they are getting to preteens, even little teenage years, you know, um, start respecting their boundaries. I'm not saying, but when I was, well, my own mom then, back then, most times when she entered my room abruptly, me and my brothers, we all knew that it is usually when we are sleeping. I can't remember my mom just coming to search my bag Yes, she had her own other ways of discipline, but I can't remember her coming to open my bag. No, no, she wasn't opening my bag. She wasn't searching through my stuff. She wasn't doing all of that. Her own was whatever she saw on the surface was what she was going to tackle, right on the spot. But then I think the only thing that would make her enter our room, mostly when we are sleeping, is to check our temperatures. That's all. So from time to time, we knew her with that already, so we were not in any way offended. The only area where we might just show concern is, oh, mommy is dotting too much. So it wasn't every night, but at certain random nights, she will just enter the room. Once she notices that your temperature is a bit high, sometimes when we are sick, we don't want to mention, okay, we are showing signs of fever or malaria. Sometimes we just feel, let's just do it. As long as we can still run around and play, we don't complain. So she does that by herself, touch her next. Once she notices a raise in temperature, she will just wake you up from sleep and make sure that you take your drug. So I think that was just the only, yes.
No,
Okay. That was just the major aspect of her just entering our room. And she would do that when we are sleeping. She won't do it immediately, like, okay, yeah, mommy, we are going to bed, and she start touching. Or when she notices that you have slept for a very long time and it's unusual, she will come and wake you up. Yes, before you sleep, and God forbid, and you don't wake up again. That was her own mindset then. So I think those were the instances I just remember that or maybe she wants to talk about something, or she wants to call your attention. But just entering to come and start ransacking, she never did all of that. She never did. So I think largely this issue plays out in different ways and manners. Yes, the standard way is that knock on their door, respect their privacies. Like you mentioned, don't eavesdrop on their conversations. Most likely from teenage years upward. Majority of what they will feel free to come and tell you is predicated on how you related with them when they were smaller. But if you want to start building relationship with them in their teenage years, it will be hard because they weren't used to it. Even the one that had a good relationship self, it's not everything. My son said something, my second son, after I came back, during one of the holidays from boarding school, he said that there are some problems that you will just learn to tackle by yourself without necessarily involving your parents all the time. And I held that statement. It was deep.
yes,
It seemed he said it casually, but it was deep. And he just mentioned, there are some things you just learn to tackle by yourself instead of just calling mommy and daddy all the time because they won't always be there. I was shocked at that, that statement. Of course, unless my attention is called from their school, even during the Sundays, like they give opportunity for parents to call, I hardly even call because the lines are most always busy from parents calling. And now I have parents of my age always disturb. Oh, my child in the university, I will be calling. The child will be saying, "Mommy, why are you disturbing me?" and, and I tell them, "Why are you disturbing yourself? You okay? Just take public transport from Abuja and go to Ekiti State and look for that child. And kukuma sit down with the child. Yes, your child is right. Why are you disturbing?" So um, uh, I think from when as they grow, the
routine.
tactic, yes, pretend it to just learn to change your tactics and know how you go about it. Just know how you go about it, and of course, let them know what you are representing. If you are coming into their room, like I told you, I said, my mom, her coming to my room, or maybe she wants to have a discussion with me, she will call my name first from the door before she opens it. She may not knock, but she will call my name. Or even if she's opening it, she's calling my name. So I know, yes, she's entering, you know. So, yes, so, um, yes. So let them just do less of certain things as they age. Do less of certain things as they age. Because I can't imagine me. One, I'm not washing my son's clothes again. Even my own son in JS3, I don't wash his clothes. He washes his things by himself. He takes care of it. I can't remember the last time I said I'm going to check the pocket of his uniform to look for what. You understand? So I'm not looking for anything there. The only time when I may say I'm checking anything is if I just see anything is too carelessly around. Okay, so who is the careless owner? I may just hold it. If I feel anything budging from there, I may just check to know what is there. But not entering inside their wardrobe, picking their clothes and shaking it up and down and looking for what is not missing in that place. But of course, if they are so confident enough to throw it carelessly anywhere, then it becomes a public property that I
Yeah.
can carry to and check. So if you don't want me to check your things, then don't make it public.
Yes.
Don't put it where I can see and come and check for you, you know. Or I will, sometimes I will just threaten them. If you keep your things carelessly, I will hide it. You will look for it, which I'll be helping you look for it. So, so let's be looking for it together. So, so they should start most likely from their early teens, particularly late teens. By late teens, they have perfected the art of hiding a lot of things from you. You can catch them in their early things easily, but late things you cannot catch them easily. Like you
Yeah.
said, you will remove everything without trace. So
Yes.
don't even stress yourself. Just just do what you can do. Of course, be providing guidance for them.
Of
Stick to
course.
their conscience. There
Yeah.
are certain things I once there was a place I once worked, and it happened that I saw a father following the daughter, you know, waiting for a vehicle. So it happened that the same vehicle I waited to board was the vehicle they get, and the father, helped her. She was going to a boarding school, Federal Government Girls College, Abaji. And we got talking, and I was as we progressed in the journey, the father didn't follow her. He was just saying, "Remember the daughter of who you are." And the father just admonished her and bade her bye bye. And she was in SS3 by then. And she was telling me that part of the reason why she cannot deviate and do what is wrong is, I think, because her father was involved in her life. I'm not saying now she's in a boarding school where the father is not there, a government school for that matter. So she can easily jump fence and go to where she wants to go. But she told me that day that she would just hear her father's voice whisper, not literally, but the things her father had been telling her. And really, I so admire the way the father talks to her. He didn't shout, he didn't threaten. But you could know that this is a man who is involved in the daughter's life. And he said she just, even if she's thinking of such, she just hears the father's voice. That yes, she's far away from her father. I mean, she's been there from GS1, but she cannot just go the wrong way because of parental guidance. So I think the bottom line to this whole thing is parental. As they grow, keep guiding them, keep talking to them, keep praying for them. It's not just prayer alone. Get involved in their lives. Let them know that if they have any challenge, they are free to come back to you. And of course, you will welcome them, you will provide guidance for them without judgment, without condemnation, because that is what they don't want. The moment they sense you already judging them, they recoil back.
All
So
right.
I think it just depends on yes, the older they grow, the more you have to learn to respect their boundaries.
And from all your answers, I mean, you've even answered the second question I wanted asking. I don't think I need to ask the second question again.
Okay.
I was asking to what extent you were like as they grow, you change the way you're doing it. You need to
Yeah.
adjust, and maybe that's a lot of wisdom there. So to our parents who are watching this, who will be watching this in the next 2 years, 3 years, I know that this video will still need to be out there. In the next 10 years, 11 years, anytime you're watching this, I want you to understand that your children as they grow need to change, the method, the way you do it, the way you need to adjust the way they monitoring and all of those things like that, because they need also. I always tell my parents this. I came to this life alone, and there are a lot of things that I need to do for myself. Right. So for me to be able to do this, for me to be able to learn all of these lessons by myself, I need to be out there. Then I can't remember when last. If it is privacy, if it is guidance, it is monitoring. My father is number one. The man has followed me up. He has followed me. I don't think my dad has given me all the privacy I need in this life just to make sure that I learn everything I need to learn. And here am I. I can stay in a particular place for for like 2 years, 3 years, and nobody knows me now because I'm not like that. I always want to be in the house doing. I have the freedom, of course. I have the freedom to go out till I finish school from my year one. In fact, my JSS 1 to final eight. When I finished school, I was doing my school things alone, paid my fee alone, everything I did it alone. So at this point, I was able to learn a lot of things, and it had helped me in my life. That I made some decisions when I make it. Sometimes when I don't even make them right, you call me, why is this one this way? Why is this one this way? I'll try to explain and tell me, okay, why not do it this way? And why not do it this way? It's just telling me, it's not forcing me, it's telling me, why not? And then I'll now, as a young person that is reasoning, I'll sit down and I'll also, put all of these things into consideration. I'm like, okay, this is it. So, this session has been so impactful of me and every other person that's been here. I've seen a lot of people join. I saw Jordan Ayo joining. I saw Isu joining. I saw other people joining from different. I've seen people joining from YouTube, people joining from Facebook
Wow.
because we are streaming both from Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So I want to thank everyone who has been here
Wow.
in this session. I am so grateful. And mentor, Mr. Lufubi Adebamiro, thank you very much, man, for this opportunity. We are so blessed
You're welcome.
and
Thanks for the
and
opportunity.
we are expecting that this is going to be a very good partnership, and we're expecting that everybody that gets to hear this will be blessed and they will drop their comment anytime from now. Thank you very much, man, and we are so grateful. Do you have any last
Thank
things you
you.
want to us this evening?
Okay. So, to people who are parents and to would-be parents, um, just understand that children are like, how will I put it? When a plant, when a plant sprouts and it's growing,
Yeah,
you begin to how that plant will eventually become at the full maturity stage is dependent on how you have taken care to nurture it. Nurturing a child is not a small work because we are not even talking about plants that will stay rooted on one spot. We are talking about humans that have their own mind, that have their own, you know. I sometimes I there have been this debate, and I'll round up with this. There have been this debate of if a child turns out bad, is the parent and this. I knew children that were well brought up, oh.
yeah,
But because of coconut head, their temperament, they just felt. There are some children that naturally would just want to just go their own way.
yeah,
There was a time we went for evangelism several years back, and as soon as I was approaching one man, the man, I was just sensing this unusual resistance. I wanted to give him a tract, and he said, "Your coming to me is making me feel guilty." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I knew the way I was brought up. I was brought up in this way, but somehow I just decided." So uh, they get to an age of decision in their life,
yeah,
absolute decision where you cannot really tell them anything again.
yeah,
Do you understand? So that's why I said, as your child grows, change the tactics. Keep evolving with your child. Yes, keep evolving with your child. Keep evolving with the times you find yourself.
yeah,
Agree that there are certain values and principles that will never change,
yeah,
right from creation.
yeah.
But how you now apply them
What's
is what might change.
yeah,
Yes, how you apply the teaching method from where our parents taught us will change. You are still teaching them the normal thing, no,
yeah,
but then because of the peculiarity of the time and age we find ourselves, the method you will use to impart it is going to change.
yeah,
Yesterday, I was talking with two of my children, and no, I was just talking about some spiritual things with them. Of course, they are not small again. I mean, they should start knowing some certain deep things about life. So from time to time, they come around me in my room. I will start telling them about life generally at the level they can understand.
yeah,
I won't tell them what, yes, it's too high for them to comprehend. I will let them know at the level. So from time to time, I just throw some of those life teachings at them. I said, well, it may look like, you may not need it now, but a time is coming in your life when you will need all these things I've told you. A time is coming when my voice will echo in your ears. Mommy said this thing. So there are some things that you just teach them, just nurture them, keep watering. Something is changing, but you don't know.
Yeah,
But because you are not seeing immediate results, even when it comes to some certain change of character and attitude, some attitude can get parents crazy.
yeah.
But keep doing your part as a parent. The only thing is that don't subject them to public disgrace just because you are trying to get them corrected. They may become more damaged than what you are not even expect them to do at all. So that's just all I have to say for now.
Man, thank you very much, man. That's a whole lot of things. Thank you very much, man. We are to write a book on this, and we will have
You're
to
welcome.
continue. Thank you very much, man. Have a great evening, and thank you for
Thank you
honoring our
very much.
invitation. Thank you, everybody that is watching. Thank you, everybody from Facebook, from YouTube. Childish
Thank you,
loves you,
everyone.
and we'll be bringing a very awesome live session for you next month. It will be so awesome. That that live session is staffed creative children. Creative children. We're going to be teaching you how to help your children be creative enough, inviting some creative people to come and talk with us. That's all for now. Don't forget, every child is special, every child is sick. And so, what do? Treat them as one. Thank you, and have a wonderful night. Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.